think for the first time ever on this planet, you're going to see an alliance between generations. There'll be an acknowledgement that love, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, all those things are a commonality. And they're a commonality whether you're 20 or whether you're 80. And that then culminates in a kind of wisdom that you have when you have those things first.
How is this new energy confronting the old energy?
When the generations start working together because of a commonality they never had before, of a higher consciousness, you're going to see better leaders. You're going to see better ideas of what countries want.
Monika, welcome back on Just Tap In. You know, I have to start off with the question, what are you both most excited about right now globally and in your life?
That's an unexpected question. Who want to go first?
I'll go first. I think for me personally, what I'm excited about the most is Lee and I kind of returning back to the basics of what we've done in the Kryon work for years and years and years, and that is to be in front of an audience, whether it's in a seminar or on tour. And we've just had the most amazing experience in Egypt in February of this year. We're going to be doing lots of meetings across the US, and we're going to be heading to the south of France at the end of the year. Next year, we go back to my homeland, Australia, where we'll be doing also a wilderness tour of Tasmania. So it's just so delicious, the ability to be with face-to-face, hug-to-hug, eye-to-eye with humans again, not just online. And also I feel that the earth, Gaia, Pachamama, is louder in her communications to us. And I really welcome those opportunities to hear what she's saying in these amazing power places all around the world. I think globally, if you can get above the fray that's playing out on the 3D level, what's exciting to me is that there is a new energy that's on the planet that's never been here before, and it is here in support of light workers that are awakening to a bigger truth. And Kryon even gave a phrase where there's an energy now that will match your consciousness. So that's me in a nutshell. Over to Lee.
It's very, very similar for me. In fact, she just, what do I say now that Monika said everything? Well, there's nothing like being in front of an audience. I'm making an announcement, COVID is over. And this is why we went online and stayed online. And now we have a chance to expand our work and return to basics and also be there for people and live, and also go back to Europe, and also go back to South America, and also do tours. And the things that we did before COVID that were very successful in that so many people were blessed and so many people got to hear Kryon personally. And now we have something extra, which is called the Green Mist, which is new, developed, which is, you might say it is a healing meditation where people walk out differently than they came in. There's so many new things we can now share live. This was an instruction we got so clearly, return to the basics. And so this is what we're doing now. And it is exciting. So that, and combined with some very strange things to many people when Kryon says, here's an energy that this planet has never seen before. Now, I want you to take a look at all the things that have happened, and we can get into that. But you take a look at when things started to occur. It was right at the first of the year. One of the attributes that Kryon has said to look forward to, it's not a prophecy, it's just a statement of energy that's happening, is that watch for things to try to solve themselves that have never solved themselves. And so tying up loose ends, having solutions to things that never were solved before, that's what we're seeing now. We may not agree with how it's working, but that is exactly what it is happening. I am not shocked or surprised at this war. I'm devastated that there's so many who are in suffering and all that had to be that way. But that's humanity with free choice. But it's following the cosmology that Kryon has talked about for 37 years. We're sitting in it.
That really aligns a lot with where I was feeling into going with this conversation and starting it off, because I was looking into Google searches and YouTube, and what's the most common question people are asking as a collective consciousness, which is representative of our Google searches. People are asking, are we in World War III? What is going to happen next? And I feel like that question is, in a way, a little surface level. And if we can go into deeper in that, what does this all reveal about the great shift of human consciousness and where we are in it? Instead of going into, is this another World War III? What is it saying on a global scale about consciousness?
I'd like to invite everybody to a YouTube channel that I gave a week ago or so. Was it a week ago, Monica? I think it was.
Yeah. Well, depending on when this goes to air.
Yeah, and a week ago for me now as I talk to you. It's a YouTube channel. It's on mine. Kryon. It's like Lee Carroll.
Kryon Lee Carroll
is
the YouTube channel, and it
is called The Fog of War. And at this moment, it's had 90,000 views. It'll climb. It'll double that, and they often do. But it explains it. It really does at a more in-depth level that I can have right now. If you take a look at where we are in a cosmological sense, now this is meaning, what do the ancients say about the timing of where we are and what's going on? It is very specific. It hasn't come from Kryon. It has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, this information. And the ones who really epitomized it and calendarized it were the Maya. There is a wobble of the earth that's 26,000 years long. And whatever you say about what you think about that, anything that is part of the earth, whether it's the cosmology, if it's the astrology or whatever, these are the kinds of things that you look for that in the predictions and whatever. And World War III has been one of them. It's just, I mean, you even got it from the church, because they said in the year 2000s, there might be World War III, there might be Armageddon, there might be all these things. So everybody is actually looking for it. And that is why the questions are here, because it's almost expected. Take a look at your movies. They're all of the post-apocalyptic stuff. That's why. It's almost like the population has sensed that that's where we're going and that's what's going to happen. Well, it isn't. We actually passed that. When the Cold War was over, when all of the things that happened, when the Berlin Wall fell down in 89, when I started channeling, we were in what is called the Great Shift. Actually, it started in the precession of the equinoxes is the astronomical term for this age, this shift we're going through. And there were dates assigned to it because they're astronomical. In other words, they're things you can see in astronomy. And that is the beginning of this whole thing was in 1994. I arrived with Kryon in 89. Took me 3 years to get going. So just about the time that I was starting to channel was when we went into the shift, 94. Now, we took 5 years to get into it, according to the timing of it all. The middle of it, you ready for a date you might recognize? 2012. Now, that was also the end of the Mayan calendar. What was that about? The Mayans talked about cycles of consciousness, and they had 5 calendars representing those 26,000 years. This is the last one. It's a big deal. It's the end of the last calendar. So in that cosmology, what they believed is that this middle section, 2012, was going to be the beginning, in their terminology, of a new consciousness, even of a new universe. This is what they believed. It was a big deal, this end of this calendar. Well, they also had another one and another one. They have calendars out to the year 4000, folks. You were never told about that in the movies, but that's the way it worked. So looking at everything, 2026, bottom line, is the first of the 5 years of coming out of the shift. We are in an energy now that's never been seen on this planet. We're coming out of the darkest area or potentials we've ever had. As we climb out of this, there's still that which has to be solved. You saw it immediately in January, February. We saw the beginning of this conflict we're in, which is not the beginning of World War III. It's the beginning of trying our best to tie up what has always been the loose ends. It's always been I would say the struggles that have been here for so many years in the Middle East. Is it possible to have some kind of a solution? It may work for that. The prediction that Kryon gave, even before any of this happened, this was going to be a year where you'd have the attempt of those kinds of resolutions. And here they were. They're just right there in front of us. I was not shocked at what took place. It's going to be short-lived, more than it's not going to develop into World War III. However, the other thing that Kryon said that was also a prediction: look for new alliances, different than you ever thought before. That's beginning right now. It may be because of oil. It may, whatever it is, but that was the prediction. Look for new alliances. Look for new ways of doing things. Now, that's worldwide because you asked that, my friend. But let's talk about personally. Right now, this particular energy, if you are a light worker, if you're an old soul, if you're interested in metaphysics, if you find yourself with perhaps thinking above the fray, if you believe yourself as perhaps a little higher consciousness, studying mastery perhaps, or healer perhaps, if you're any of those things, I can guarantee you're looking at this year differently. You're saying something is happening with me. It's renewal, folks. It's whatever you want to call it. It's what the old things are gone. We have really won this war of old energy versus new energy, and we're starting to come into the light. That is a struggle. Sometimes things that have old energy are systemically broken. What that means is they have got to start over. Actually, anything systemically broken, a system has to be stopped, and you have to start over. You cannot fix it because it's at its core broken. You're going to see a lot of things start to be renewed, perhaps even in your own life. What you're saying, how many of you are looking at things saying, I feel different? If you can get above the fear that the media wants to give you, I'll tell you, you're looking at yourself and asking perhaps, I feel something is eminently going to happen in my life. I think there's some new things here for me. How many of you are feeling a breath of fresh air, no matter what the media is telling you? This is the old soul reacting to a new energy. So you might see that there's two complete things going on. There's what the earth is and the reaction that is global, that Kryon actually talked about, us coming out of the shift, the things that are trying to be settled that never were before, new alliances starting to happen between countries. Then there is us. How do we feel about who we are and what's going on in our lives that might reflect this idea of renewal, moving into perhaps even a new kind of dimensionality? That's very common talk in metaphysics. Many are talking about what a new dimension might look like, and there are many who are feeling it. I'm talking to those who might listen to this particular program. No matter what age you are, it doesn't matter, because many of you are starting to feel this, a refreshing of what used to be that's gone away since 24, 25, which were difficult years for so many of us. We're coming out of that darkness into the light. It's funny to say that with everything that's going on the planet, but that's one of the reactions, trying to fix stuff that's broke.
I'd also love to hear, Monika, if you want to chime in there in any way, reflect on that as well.
I love that Lee mentioned the cosmology of the planet and the fact that you mentioned that many feel this is World War III. And that is a holdover. It's like a residue that we carry in the psyche of a doom bias that we've been programmed to and conditioned with. So here comes a new energy, and as Lee mentioned, tying up of loose ends. But for many, it looks like what they've been programmed and conditioned to believe, is the end of the world? What if instead it is the end of an old world, because what's coming is a completely new world, and we can't carry into that new world the old consciousness that kept us from progressing? And that's exactly what is going on. It's what the cosmology also shows. Lee mentioned we have the Mayan calendar. There's a long count, and it goes for approximately 5,200 years. Now, when we were in Egypt, one of the things that I loved Kryon sharing, Egypt began about 5,000 years ago, and many are attracted to go there. And Kryon says with Egypt, there's really two things you're looking at. One is the history, and the other one is the message. So the message that got left behind was all about the creator, that we're equal to that creator. There's love for us. There's the afterlife. And then Kryon revealed that that beginning civilization of Egypt was part of a new cycle that began on the planet. And it's the modern one we find ourselves into, that 2012 point. And at the beginning of a 5,000-year cycle, you have a new energy that is being pushed, a new awareness, a new awakening. This is why Lee was saying it's the newness of us discovering ourselves again. And Egypt lasted for thousands of years because there was a message of core truth there. It was only over time where it de-evolved, and it was the conquering nature that was the demise of that civilization. And so here we are at this pivotal point in time where we are once again at the beginning, the very beginning of the next 5,000-year cycle to come. And we are having new ideas, new awakenings, new inventions. And Kryon asks, what is it that you're going to leave behind? The Egyptians had buildings with messages on the walls. But what if what we create as our legacy is going to be the new levels of compassion and kindness, and that legacy will ensure that we have entered the final stage, which is ascension consciousness. So all of these things are in the works. And again, we carry that residue, the doom bias, which is a program and conditioning that we've had. So once we kind of break down the illusion that that is, we are really able to enter, I believe, a period of expansion, a greater expansion and creativity and illumination and new ideas and new inventions that all at their core have a prime directive of being one of benevolence for everyone.
Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode. I love the tag team effort there because I really did feel like the urgency in Lee's tone. Like this is like, we're in it. We're 4 years until this date of 2030, which has been predicted, prophesized, and then just bringing it down also into the heart space as well. It's very beautiful to see like the combination of those two energies. And I wanted to bring up something that stood out there for me personally, which was the alliances, the new alliances that are emerging on a world scale. But I also wanted to span out and see what alliances galactically are we beginning to start seeing, not only galactically, but interdimensionally. What Lee has had going on with Kryon has been an alliance, an interdimensional alliance. So in what ways is that going to become more common? And how can those conversations be brought into the mainstream so that we can understand what is actually going on a bigger scale?
I think for the first time ever on this planet, you're going to see an alliance between generations. There'll be an acknowledgement that love, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, all those things are a commonality. And they're a commonality whether you're 20 or whether you're 80. And that then culminates in a kind of wisdom that you have when you have those things first. It's been traditional, it has been the way things work, that there would be a big generation gap. And we're looking at several generations here, and we even labeled them. But we're not used to having the young and the old together, necessarily at meetings or at award ceremonies or songs or anything else. And I want you to look for that to change. There will be more of a meld, I would say, generationally, and it's going to happen in many cultures. That's one of the things that's going to tip the scales of what people do, what they vote for, what they want. When the generations start working together because of a commonality they never had before of a higher consciousness, you're going to see better leaders. You're going to see better ideas of what countries want. Kryon even said there'll become a time when the ones who make the decisions for the entire world are the mothers that all want the same thing for their kids everywhere. Doesn't matter what country you go to. Moms all want the same thing for their children. Peace. They want education. They want to be fed well. All of these things that every single mother on this planet wants. That's the kind of commonality that you're going to see between generations as well. That's a real stretch for some. It's a real stretch for somebody in my generation to say, you mean that we're going to have an alliance or some kind of a coherence with the young people on this planet? And the answer is, I have seen it already. That's part of the prediction of the Indigo Children, the book in 1999 that we did. So all of these kinds of things, I would say there are surprises ahead for what you don't expect that you've never seen before that actually may change the whole planet. These are slow, very slow. The thought that we may have someday elegant, compassionate leadership all over the world is to almost everybody goes, I don't think so. Well, get ready for it. And it's going to be for those who run for high leadership that's coming. You're going to see a lot of young people who are very wise start running for office. And there's going to be those who look at them and not say you're too young, but whoa, really, I want you. So these are the kinds of things to look for.
Monika? Every question is for both of you.
Yeah,
I love, as you can tell, I just love listening to Lee and hear him talk. So I'm in that space of, I love everything you said. My only addition to that with the alliances is I sense there is going to be a deeper alliance and connection with planet Earth, with Gaia, who has a sentience. There is a deep connection, a deep collaboration that humanity and the consciousness of humanity shares with Gaia. And for many spiritual systems, it's almost like Gaia is excluded from connecting in with your God part of yourself. But in actual fact, there are parts of your soul that reside within the earth. And if we truly are moving into a new area on the planet, a new energy that's never been here before, and we're into this ascension phase, it's going to enhance a partnership with the planet in a way we haven't experienced yet. And that's what I'm excited about.
I keep going back to the new energy that you're both speaking into. And how is this new energy confronting the old energy? And in what ways is that playing out that we're seeing in our world? If we can characterize these energies for just a moment to understand, what is their role in coming in waves at this time?
If you look at the cosmology, we're done with the battle. That I would say, the most intensive part of it. It may not feel like that if you take a look around at the things that are happening on the planet. We are personally done with that battle that would throw everything against us. So here's what I want to tell you as a person tuning in that believes they are perhaps part of this new consciousness that we speak of. What are you going to feel? First of all, how will it feel to be in an energy where there's no pushback? Now, what I mean by this, the things that you want to try, the things that you believe have integrity and compassion, the plans you might have. In the past, there's been a whole lot of old energy pushback. As soon as you open the door, I want you to get used to something. There won't be as much. And eventually there won't be any. So one of the things that we are giving advice to everyone, young people, old people, whatever it is try things that didn't work before. Now, there is a consciousness thing that happens with us. Once we try something and it doesn't work, try it again. You say, been there, done that, didn't work. Really? What if it was just the energy you were in that you tried it in? So this is what Kryon is saying. You don't know what you don't know here. If this energy really is starting to be more commensurate to compassionate souls, you're going to have a lot better luck when you try things. And this goes for new systems. This has things that in your life that you perhaps tried or wanted to say, gee, I could do this and it didn't work out. Try it again. Also, here's a big one. I hope I say this correctly. Do things that you don't want to do. You have a friend who says, why don't you come with me and we'll go to this concert? Or why don't you come with me and we'll go to this game or just to this club or something where we like to meet people. And you go, I don't do that. I don't even like that sport. I don't like that music. Say yes. And the reason is because this is going to get you out of your comfort zone. That is needed. We are too habitual. We're in bad habits of our own design of thinking we know who we are. So you go and do those things where you will meet people that you need to meet, or see situations that trigger other ideas that you might have. You would have never seen them had you not gone with that person to do that thing. This is a year of renewal. You will be urged to move. You're going to be urged to try things. This is all about us coming into an energy that supports us, that doesn't beat us up anymore. So in answer specifically to that cycle we used to be in, we are coming out of it. It's not going to return. We are now able and willing to try new things without that pushback. I don't want you to have that fear. Oh, that's going to happen again. Oh, I've tried that and that's not going to happen. That's going to happen. It gives me permission, for instance, to go do things that I thought I was finished with, that I got specific information from Kryon. No, you're not. No, you're not. Not at all. Go and do those things again and watch what happens. We have already seen this unexpectedly. When we went to a country last year, we thought that nobody would come out because it was too expensive. The COVID was still, all these things. Nothing like that was true. Everything was different completely, and it shocked us. And Kryon says, this is what you have. The wind is now at your back. It's not going to be pushing back near as much. I hope that means something. It sounds like a very generic thing that I'm talking about, a very general thing. But I'll tell you, it's specific to you, to Lightworkers, to what you think your life is about and what you think is next for you. Try things again that didn't work before. Do them perhaps a little differently now from what you know, but don't expect them to fail.
And in that same way of trying things that you haven't tried before, and the energy of 24-25, that last gasp of the shift, is what Kryon has said, you're now coming out of it. For many, Lee and I included, it was very difficult and very challenging personally and globally. In some ways, you almost feel like you're at the knife edge of like just getting drawn down into that dark place. You're always in that knife edge of using all the tools you have to raise your vibration or to take a deep breath and move through the challenges that have come your way. And for myself, it took some time coming into this year of 2026 to really recognize it's different this year. There's support there. And in my own personal individual meditations and connecting in with Kryon and some of the guests that we have on our Wednesday program, there is this sense of being in the unknown and being completely comfortable and okay with things that I don't know yet that are coming. And if I was to look at myself in this place last year, the unknown was a little filled with anxiety and fear and uncertainty. So that's been replaced with sort of excitement of what good things are coming my way. And that is that shift of when you have an energy here that is now going to match your consciousness, this is where you can say without a doubt, I expect good things. I don't know what they are, but I know better times are ahead and amazing synchronicities are coming my way, and I expect the most outrageously amazing, wonderful, good things to happen.
The other thing I just want to say, and you too, because we talked a little bit, how many of you had in 2025 and 2024 cascading things that were negative? Not just here's something that happened to me, but here's something that happened on top of this that happened on top of that that happened. It's almost like a last gasp of old energy trying to beat us up. This was common. I started talking to my friends, talking to what has happened to you, and they started speaking of this cascading one problem over another kind of thing that was taking place. This is very common with old souls and light workers because we are the lighthouses of the planet.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were old energy trying to quench our light? You'd give us cascading problems that would make us give up.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
And then just reminding me now, Lee, too, that
Yeah.
that final footnote is if you're not aware that the energy has shifted and that you have good things coming your way, this is where those who are not aware of it are going to stay in that bubble because a lower consciousness cannot see past the ceiling of what is there. And so even though there is a new energy on the planet, it's working for those with the higher consciousness that have worked on themselves to get to that level. And so you will be seeing the world in a completely different way from those who are not able to see beyond the ceiling that they have put themselves in that 3D programmed old way.
And the beauty of those cascades that we're talking about is that they actually do make us stronger. They initiate us into a new level of ourselves. And then after you go through that challenging experience, what's on the other side of that is more possibility. And you were speaking, Monika, into this sort of ceiling of consciousness when we're operating from those levels. Kryon has been talking about the 12 multidimensional layers of DNA. And I want to speak into, what does it really mean that we're going through a massive global species-wide DNA activation or reactivation? And how is that also affecting the perceptions of consciousness that we're able to access as well?
We get deep into esoterics here, and it's difficult to do when there's no background. If somebody's just tuning in, this is where they would tune out because it was just too eye-rolling. In our DNA, we carry such vast amounts of history information, and some of it is like a time capsule. Kryon has told us this for a very long time, that we are not in a simulation, but we are in some kind of you would say, control, where our consciousness will then trigger things both on the earth and within ourselves. If we would then raise above a certain consciousness, certain kinds of things would happen. Although this very esoteric minded and all, this was the basis of the Mayan calendar when they said if we made it past 2012, we'd come into the highest consciousness the planet has ever had. I had that read to me on the walls in Xochicalco in Mexico. This was their prophecy, and we're sitting in it. And so you have to buy into the fact that perhaps in our DNA, species-wide humanity, that there are things lurking there that are great and good and enabling that perhaps we don't have yet because we haven't gone past a certain consciousness that would let them out. Now, I don't like the word activating only because that's the first word I heard in metaphysics that I didn't like. That's just my bias. It's not activating as much as is coming online. Now, that's I would think a better term that people would use. What if there was all manner of things in our DNA that affected who we are, our dimensionality even? Going even so far is, when you study certain masters, not just the obvious ones, but the ones in India and all, and they come across evidence that they had control over physics. We have caves they've discovered where shamans could push their hand into solid rock. And of course, the stories that we have of the masters walking on water, all of these kinds of things. What if this was part of mastery that might actually be built into every single human being? This is the kind of thing. And it then is released as we start to be able to use it and not weaponize it and all of the other things that come with a higher level of consciousness. DNA is very involved. Kryon has told us in our DNA is our full and complete Akashic record. That's just for beginning. Then we have one invisible, are you ready, chromosome pair. Why is it that before 200,000 years ago, all humanity had 24 sets of chromosomes, and 200,000 years ago, it went to 23 sets? Science is still trying to figure out something called the fusion. Look it up. Somehow a chimpanzee came along or something like that, and we all morphed together at once in an area of time that was way too fast for any evolution. And we had a fusion of all manner of things within our chromosomes and ended up with 23. Here's what Kryon says. We do have 24. The 24th one is multidimensional, ready to connect with the other 23 for an enlightenment that's coming on this planet, even what we would call ascension status. We are ready for this. We are moving toward it. And if you start looking at some of the recently published books, especially by Greg Braden, Pure Human, perhaps is the last one, he speaks of this. This is one of his main things he's talking about. What happened 200,000 years ago to make us different, to make us realize that something's up. We shouldn't have 23 chromosomes, folks. We don't. We have 24. We're going to see that. It will show itself. That is DNA specific, extremely esoteric, because that 24th chromosome comes from our seed biology. Our seed biology came from the stars. There was intervention. Now, you were just in Peru, Emilio. This is where we first heard that word come from a shaman when we said to him, what is your creation story? How did we get here? What happened? And the word that he gave in Quechuan that was then given to us in Spanish and translated into English was intervention. It's worldwide. It's with the ancients. It's with the indigenous. They're all talking about it. And we just roll our eyes. Now we're talking about it. What if there was a lot more in our DNA that you ever thought? And we are coming online with it starting to awaken in a much bigger way.
Do we have a theory as to why it was offline for so many years?
Yes, it is linked to consciousness, period. You might say that it knows how we think. Our DNA is way ahead of us. It has the ancients' wisdom. It has shamanic energy. It has mastery. All of those things it will release and give to us as our consciousness evolves. So many of the things that are there are weaponizable. I mean, this is like, it knows who we are. Right now, according to Kryon, we're a barbarous race. And that's going to change as well. Believe it or not, folks, the end of war is at hand. It may be the generation you're in, my friend, but if not, it'll be the next one. And we're going to see it happen on this planet, that it'll be unconscionable. War will be unconscionable because we are smarter. This is an evolutionary process that we are going through. When we start with a higher consciousness, the DNA then starts to act. So it would not release when we are still in that barbarous era.
And a good word to use instead of offline is that it's actually just being dormant.
Dormant.
And the period of dormancy is part of the setup where we have Pleiadian star mothers coming and altering our DNA 200,000 years ago. And it took a long time to then get to a place where we had societies where the star mothers could then give core teachings of spiritual truths. They happened all around the world. Kryon speaks specifically about a place called Lemuria, where there was an intensive teaching done, but it also happened in places like Uluru in Australia. And if you look at their creation stories and their understandings of the role of the Pleiadians, there is core teachings given there as well. So what's the next step after you do that? You then remove yourselves as physical teachers present, but your consciousness still stays within the grids of the earth. And it's very hard for us to understand Pleiadian star mother consciousness present in a non-corporeal form. But that is exactly what Kryon has said. You wouldn't come here and then just abandon the star seeds that you have birthed. But we have to go through a period of free choice. We've been given divinity. We've been given core spiritual truths about the authentic nature of ourselves. If left alone, without anyone instructing us who has ascension consciousness, what do we decide collectively? Because consciousness has to go through its own journey of evolution. And collectively, we decided that we wanted to step onto the graduate ascension path that we set ourselves up for, which is exactly why Kryon is even here in the first place, because the higher selves of every human, you might not remember this, it's not something you remember, but collectively we agreed, yes, we wish to move on the path of ascension. So then it's not automatic, we get help, and the help comes to us in forms of not just Kryon, but look at the explosion of awareness and enlightenment that has taken place in this last decade. And that is because the choice to make this then has that dormant interstellar DNA pair start to jiggle and vibrate and remind us of these core truths we were given. It's like you have these antenna on the end of your DNA that's constantly searching for the love messages that are continually being broadcast from the Creator to us. And when those little antennas awaken, you then also start affecting others around you. So when Lee started channeling, Lee, there's no way you would have ever been on a podcast like this, because
there was no podcast.
There
like
was
this.
no podcast.
Can I say that? The host of this show is an anomaly. Would not have existed.
Yes.
For me in my time. I'm in my 83rd year of life, and this man feels like he's my brother. And that's what I'm talking about. We have a consciousness link. We have a coherence of truth. This is what I'm talking about for this time. You've never seen this before. This is an explosion where young people are starting to be interested in that which is a lot of things that in my time, you only interested when your family was done. And you're in your late 40s. And now you go, what else is there? I think I'll deal with myself. So you get interested in metaphysics and all these things. I know that's the way it is. That is new. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about this Earth is experiencing.
Even the way that we share messages now is so different. Like I'm starting to also transition into content that is more digestible for our generation that has a shorter attention span. And you're seeing, like, I'm just seeing an emergence of creators, young creators, my age or even younger, that are talking about these things, that are talking about like uncovering the hidden truths, spiritual awakening, ascension. And I'm like getting really excited because this is very new. And I think it's part of the new energy, because Lee was talking about in the beginning how this notion of the Indigo children came in 1999. That was the year after I was born. And I wanted to speak more into now these Indigo children. We slightly talked about it in our last conversation, but they are coming of age now. They are, becoming men. They're becoming women. And what is the role of these Indigo children as they leave their adolescence, as they leave like this childhood and step more into the real world? What do you both see as that new role that we're taking on in our generation?
Well, you have to understand what the Indigo children are, and perhaps it'd be, we're not going to go through teaching except that one of the attributes of an Indigo child, as described in the book, is they recognized and didn't like the dysfunction that was presented to them both in their families and the teaching, in their education, in their churches or whatever, and they could see through all of them. In other words, they had the ability, with the consciousness that was new on the planet, to look through the dysfunctional stuff. That was their main attribute. Now, at that point, they were not smarter. Now, the children of the Indigos, that's another story. They're smarter. They weren't smarter than their parents, but they were wiser. They saw through things. They saw the silliness that when they were asked to perhaps do things in school that made no sense, but that were just tradition. And they had to go through tradition that made, all of these things. They were not happy with all being treated the same, even though they saw that there was a vast difference in the children's abilities. So why wasn't somebody breaking it up and teaching? Why weren't they able to help their own peers and go to recess faster or something else? That's, by the way, that's a Montessori concept. So all of these kinds of things, that was their attribute. So now, here's the prediction. Kryon gave it in 1999 and beyond. When the Indigos grow up and they become in their 20s and 30s, this is when they will start correcting the kind of dysfunction that they saw originally. And there's only one way to do it. You can't It's not, and it's not in protest. It's not holding signs and chanting. In my generation, that's what we did. It is by getting into the institutions and making a difference. And they would, because the ideas they have are better. And we tend to go with the tradition of the way something works, especially in education. And so you're not able to then get anything done because this is the way we do it. Follow your instructions. Sounds like the Army. Well, a lot of it is like that. So here comes the new teachers. Here come the new politicians. They're just junior senators, both genders, getting into committees, making ideas. Like, we've got a way to go, but this is what's happening. Now, take a look at what else is happening, is that this is a generation that is doing the podcasts that you're talking about. And this is the generation that is starting to look at even the dysfunction of what we were told spiritually. What if it weren't a judgmental God? What if we were not born in sin? We're starting to look past the traditions that controlled us, that made us fearful of death and all the things. That's going to also follow into, watch for this, new ways of funerals. When these young people get to ages where they can control those kinds of things, there's going to be a celebration of life. There won't be a funeral. There's going to be all manner of things that change. I'll just say, church, watch out, because there's not going to be many memberships. It's going to start waning if it isn't already, because it's not believable. You're giving a children's story about a beautiful, majestic God who loves us, and I'll tell you, the generations are coming to right now who know it. That's just my take on it. I probably offended a lot of people.
I don't think
That's
so.
what I do.
I don't think so. We're still
Activated.
we're all mirrors and triggers in some way. Yeah. And I think, the Indigos, in one word, we can sum it up as they came here as disruptors, to disrupt old energy systems that need to be disrupted, quite frankly. So we're very excited about those emerging Indigos.
That's the prediction that Kryon gave. That was 1999. That is the prediction. And you are the embodiment of it. This is why we get so excited about this show.
Thank you, guys. And also just the honor that, finally we're seeing that, this intergenerational collaboration is being reflected more and more. And between generations, we're giving each other the metaphorical mic to each other. And I'm even finding myself in positions where, maybe a year ago, I would have felt like this enormous amount of imposter syndrome. Like, why do they want to interview me? Like, why do they want me to talk? I don't know anything. And then just honoring there is a space for all voices, all generational voices to be heard. And that's what's going to lead to these new systems as well. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys, coming from my own curiosity and exploration, is you were both just in Egypt, and I've heard by many other guests before that Great Pyramid is a Stargate, and that it's not the only Stargate on the planet. There are many others across the globe. And I wanted to ask your opinions on the wars that we're seeing, for example, in the Middle East, in Iran, in Israel. Does the Stargates of Gaia have anything to do over these wars? Because right now we're being told a story that it's about oil, it's about control, it's about all these other things. But is there a level beneath that maybe reflected more of the truth of what is going on there? This is just asking for my own kind of explorations around Stargates and going into these deeper mysteries.
We just came from Peru. And so you also felt it. You felt it in certain places, and I know you did. So did we. We know if you are an individual that feels energy at all, you can't miss it. Egypt is the same way. Whether the pyramid is an actual Stargate or whether it's metaphorically a Stargate, meaning that it was built by those of consciousness who who really honestly knew things that we're only now discovering. That makes it a high consciousness portal of some kind. Yeah, and we felt that, and I'll say this is our fourth visit to Egypt, and one of the first times we're starting to feel that as we go to the various places there. They've got energy, whatever you want to call them. Yes, the Middle East does too. Look at what has come in our history from the Middle East. Where do the masters come from? In the Middle East. And you take a look at all of that is there. Yes, one of the things that Kryon talked about early on, very early on, and he says, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody because this was a statement, as go the Jews, go earth. Now what that metaphor was is what happens there will reflect what happens on the planet. So this was the prediction. And it's not a funny prediction because that's also what Scripture often says, is that the final battles will be there. We may be looking at it. We may be looking at a situation where it'll take a generation or two, but they won't be hating each other anymore. So this is the beginning of that. Now look, I've been there. I've been to Jerusalem. I've been in the Habiba Theater with 1,000 people, sitting on a stage all by myself, talking to young people and telling them color is coming to a black and white earth. And they were very excited because they want that too. If you could interview the young people in the Middle East, they don't want what's going on there. Neither side does. When I was there all those years ago, there was a group of Palestinians that were sneaking across a wall that you could, if they caught you, you don't want to know what would happen. But they're supposed to stay in their area. And they weren't. They were meeting with Jewish young people, and they're called Seeds for Peace. And that was back then. And they were looking at what they could do when they grow up to make it better. This is why I get excited, because they're grown up. Our leaders are too old. I'm sorry. I can say that now because I'm a senior. Someday you can quote me and you can laugh at it now. Our leaders are too old. They need to be younger and wiser. They need to be more at the prime of their life when they're more alert. They need to be wiser. And our young people coming up are wiser. And so this is why I get excited. It's not happening fast enough for me.
I almost feel like I want to jump in and ask. I'm aware of the time that we've spent, but I feel if you'd be open to it, if we can just invite Kryon in to come in with a final message.
Is that okay with you?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I was actually going there, Monica. We're telepathic right now.
Indeed. So many of you are familiar with Lee and Kryon, and if this is your first experience, I'm so delighted that you found your way to hear the voice of Kryon. And it's not just the voice of Kryon, but there is a transmission of so much love for you. You are known individually. You are loved beyond measure. And it is an honor for us to have Kryon come and greet you in this way. So, Kryon, we are ready.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are those who would ask, what does that mean? You will know, because that which is the magnetics of your earth is allied to consciousness. That's already been proven. Dear ones, I am here to remind you of something. You are in an auspicious time. A time that's been predicted for the ancients, a time you thought might never arrive. Even as the war rages as I speak now, I tell you that you were born magnificent. All of you. The ones who are younger, who are watching this is your time. This is a time for you to have the wisdom to be silent when it's needed and to speak your truth when it's needed. It's time to watch that which is around you and be circumspect, so that you take that wisdom of yours and apply it in a way that your culture will accept. You can read into that anything you want to. There is a wisdom in your actions, young people. One of the things that impresses my partner as he sits here is that he never thought he would see what is happening right now with so many of you. Indeed, this is your time. It is also the time for others who are light workers and old souls on this planet, no matter what age they are, to realize they're awakening to a tremendous increase in their power. The power of consciousness, unbelievable. It can make wars shorter. It can heal long distance. It can create peace on earth. These are the kinds of things you are awakening to right now. Don't believe those who tell you that the earth is doomed. This is a very old energy idea, and it's popular. It's popular because it makes good movies, but it doesn't please the mothers of the planet. I speak to mothers and mothers who will be. I'm speaking to those who know better and know that the planet has a future that perhaps those of an older generation have never been aware of. Old soul, no matter how old or young you are right now, aren't you feeling it? Aren't you feeling it? In some ways, the sun is coming out. This is the message. After all of these years, this is the message. The predictions I gave over 20 years ago are starting to come to fruition. That's not fortune telling. That's because the snowball was already rolling when I gave them. That snowball, that's the metaphor that once it starts rolling, you can see where it's going. You can see what it might strike. That's not fortune telling. That's wisdom. I saw it happening, and here it is. Blessed is the human being who understands they are magnificent, that they have the wisdom, that things are starting to happen to awaken that which is their consciousness, longer life on this planet, and a wiser human race. Welcome to a new earth. And so it is.
So it is. Wow. It gives me so much hope to hear these messages, and hope can be an energy that a lot of people stay away from, but I'm the type of person that leans into it because I know that we are constantly creating our reality through the way that we think, the way that we project out into our future. And I know that with everything that's going on, even if we see a lot of things collapsing, what I'm perceiving is something is just making way for this new energy that we've been talking about throughout the whole episode. And so with that said, I would love to, before we go into the final trio, which are the questions we ask at the end, if there's anything else, final message that both of you want to share today, maybe reflecting on everything, integrating what we've talked about, and give you the floor for that.
I'd say my message to everybody is don't watch the news. They are invested in frightening you to sell products. They really want you to feel the earth is ending so that they can have their way. It truly is. I mean, take a look at the bias that is there. And it's not just political. It is also, it's doom bias. And Monika said it. We have a doom bias. We expect these things. Read your news, because that will probably be real journalists who have to write it instead of entertainers that you see on camera.
I love that you said you're the one that has hope. And then you mentioned there's some who run away from hope, or they're tentative and they don't trust themselves to allow themselves to have hope. But Kryon delivered a series of messages quite a few years ago now. And one of the phrases that Kryon gave is that hope is an active energy. And when you are in a frame of mind where you do have hope, things are going to get better, hope for a better future, it is like you are paving the way in front of you on the footpath that you are going to walk on, and you are spreading benevolence before you. Because again, hope is an active energy. It's not passive. It's not wishful thinking, oh, well, maybe things will get better. When you truly embody that hope for a bright future, it starts to deliver things to you. So I'm so glad you have hope for the planet, because I do too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wake up every day and the first thing I say when I open my eyes is something amazing is about to happen. And I've been doing that for a few months now, and my life, you know, it's blessings above blessings, meeting humans like you, you know, getting to do what I love on a daily basis. Like, that is what this affirmation of something amazing is about to happen and is happening in the present moment. And so I wanted also to open the space for those of you that are tuning in that want to go deeper into this Kryon sphere and universe. Where would you both send people to connect with this work and go deeper, and all the deeper tours that you're also taking people on? Where would people find that?
Our website, cryonmasters.com, has everything. It's got everything we're doing online. It has a list of the places we're going to go. Also, I would encourage people, there's a legacy site called Kryon.com that has almost everything Kryon has channels which are free, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them on our free audio.
Beautiful, beautiful. We'll link everything in the show notes as always. And for the final trio, these are just personalized questions that I had for this episode in specific. The first one is, if you were both to name the spiritual assignment of humanity for this exact window that we're in right now, what would it be?
Wake up. It's an awakening time.
Simple as that.
It is. It is an awakening time. There is now the potential of awakening that was not here last year or the year before. That's the big message.
And I would say rekindle your remembrance, because it's within you.
Yeah.
What will we eventually realize when we are on the other side of the shift?
That we were in the dark and didn't know it. It's almost the same kind of thing when people have what we call an awakening, and they realize that everything they believed really was only the tip of the iceberg, and there was so much more there. And that's who tunes in to these kinds of things. So it will be a realization, oh my goodness, I didn't know anything.
I also feel that if we fast forward even further than that, we will look back at us as being the ancestors of a new time, and there will be such celebration that we stayed the course. We did it. We got through it, and it could have gone another way, but we chose not to. How special.
Beautiful. And all three of us tune in to this notion that, not even notion, this energy that there's a reemergence of the divine feminine energy that is coming back online. And so the last question I wanted to ask, because we did listen to a song at the beginning before we started recording about this, of the women of the earth right now awakening. What do you both personally feel is trying to emerge through women in this next era that we're in?
I think an acknowledgement not of equality or any of those things that are political. When I look at the whole gender issue, women are built for compassion and kindness. They raise their kids, and they've got all manner of things that the male species does not have, because it's not designed for it. So the emergence of divine feminine is that. It's the reemergence of compassion and kindness that we all had with our moms and stuff. We are not blind to this. But planetarily, we would benefit from that kind of thing emerging. Women have that first. Women carry it naturally. It's instinct. Men don't. They learn it as they go. So when you see the emergence of the divine feminine on this planet, it's another word for saying compassion is happening.
And I love the mentioning of the wise divine feminine. It brings with it wisdom and guidance. And if you look and study shamans of the planet, those that had mastery, what was it the one thing that you really wanted to receive from them? Why would you find a mentor or a guru or seek them out? And often the answer is because they had a wisdom that carried across from the other side of the veil, which provided guidance. So those two together go together whenever I feel I'm tapping into divine feminine energy. It's wisdom and guidance together with the compassion and love that Lee mentioned. And what would the world look like when we have more of that energy on the planet? I feel that it will explode with creativity and freedom. What would you do if you felt completely safe to express yourself with nothing but love and support and encouragement to, yes, do that part of you that resonates so deeply from within? How would that look like? We become a planet of creators supporting each other. And we're all, at the end of the day, just walking each other home.
Love you both so much. Thank you for being the lighthouses that you are for so many people right now in the seen and unseen, even if it's indirect or direct. I know that what you both are anchoring also in this beautiful divine union that you both have created within that container, and working together has helped so many people. And it's my biggest honor. Every conversation we have just goes deeper and deeper. And so I'm honored to be in this position that I am right now and holding the space for both of you. I can't wait to do it again. And I can't wait to see you both in person, which I know is happening very, very soon. So much love, and until next time.